Hello, hello. You joined me this morning outside the Golden Gates at the entrance to Wynyard Hall, approximately 3 kilometres from Billingham. It's a bright, sunny but cool morning, the reason for the gloves and the arm warmers. On previous rides I've ridden through villages to the north of the River Tees and seen some items that commemorate or remember things from the past. I thought it would be nice to join these together and visit them all in one ride. Interested? Well, come along then. Let's go and see these things. We're just about to leave the village of Thorpe Hughes. We have a steep downhill. And then, as every cyclist knows, for each downhill there follows an uphill. Not too bad a hill. It's in 3 sections, but the middle section we've just completed being approximately 9% on average. Well, that's that over. Stretch the legs nicely. Here in Carlton, our first commemorative item is on the side of the Wesleyan Church. Although the memorial is to the First World War, there are memorial stones below, which were laid in 1910, before the war. You can see that there are some tiles depicting several people who were present at the time. And the one that I've always wondered about is this one. Just who was Miss Railton and who were the scholars? I assume because of her title Miss, she was the schoolmistress. But were the scholars from the local village school? We're on our way to the next village of Bishopton, where there's a newly laid memorial stone. However, I can see that some people have been having fun here during the coronavirus. So what's the policeman doing here? Radioing to say everyone's okay? or radioing for the van to pick this one up. Bishopton is the start of the horse belt in the Tees Valley, which extends from here all the way up to the Yorkshire Dales. There are lots of livery stables in this area. Who knew there had been an airfield here? Maybe for training, as it's a bit of a flight across to the continent from here. We turn right here at the crossroads as we start to make our way up to the town of Sedgefield. You can probably see and hear that this road is particularly rough. It was giving a new top surface towards the end of 2019 by tarring and chipping the road. However, they seem to have used a new technique for tarring the roads. Rather than spread the tar all over the road, they've placed it down in ridges in the hope that it will spread. However, it hasn't, and now it's like cycling on corrugated metal. As we approach Sedgefield, the race course is on our left. Outside of the coronavirus pandemic, they hold car boot sales here every Sunday morning. There are several race meetings held here every year. On the outskirts of Sedgefield, we come to this commemorative plaque. It was Captain Edward Ramsden who provided the grounds that the cricket ground is now present on, with the rugby ground in the background. Since he was from Sands Hall in Sedgefield, I assume he was a moneyed gent who obtained a commission in the army at some stage. Sedgefield has some history, and here we are riding through the older part. Just coming up to the green, we will be turning into the main street. And although it looks as if it's been here for a long time, it has been expanded on the outskirts by the building of many new houses, so that it is now a dormitory town for a lot of Teesside. Up ahead are the three-armed giants, who throw their arms around in the air to encourage cyclists who come out this way. Unfortunately, not quite like being the crowd at the Tour de France, but if the wind's in the right direction, you can actually hear them shouting woo, woo. Now as we make our way north, we're starting to approach the County Durham coalfields as was. Most of the collieries, in fact all of the collieries, have closed down now. However, one pit was at the lower level, and that was near Fishburn village, which is our next port of call. Fishburn, like most of the villages between here and Durham, was built around the easy access to coal seams and their individual pit heads. Most of the people in the village either worked as miners or were employed supporting the mine. As we approach the crossroads, you can see what appears initially to be an inconsequential set of rocks on the right. However, these rocks hold quite a surprise. Inside is a sculpture of a miner working at the coalface. Quite a few people have cycled through here and just mistaken this for a pile of rocks. It's worth taking the time just to have a quick look. We're leaving Fishburn now, and we will be going next to climb up the first ridge of the Durham Hills, but we'll leave exploring in there for a later date. We'll just run along the ridge before returning to the Tees Valley. Here we are, turning left into Coxhill Road and the start of our climb. Not too bad a climb up here, apart from this first bit is quite rough due to the heavy vehicles that use it at times. Flattens out for a little while and then kicks up again. Bit harder today with the wind blowing straight down the hill. Oh well, here we hit the false summit. Once we get around the corner, we start to climb again. Finally, we reached the top. Here's a quick view back across the Tees Valley. Not as clear as I would like, but in the distance you can just make out the Cleveland Hills. Now we're skirting the village of Cornforth and we'll soon arrive at our next memorial. Specifically, it's a park which is named the Bill Wilson Memorial Park. I have no idea who Bill Wilson was, but I'm going to take a walk through the park and see if there's any notice boards or anything that tells us who he was. Here we are with the information about Bill Wilson, who was a parish councillor for over 40 years. Beside the plaque is an obelisk in which is carved the words, "The future we build." Now we've left Cornforth, it's time to descend the ridge again. At the crossroads we'll be going straight over, past through Mainsford and on to Bishop Midland, where I'm going to stop for a break. I'm entering the village of Bishop Midland now, and just round the corner you'll see that there's quite a sharp, steep rise, and I intend to stop at the park on the right at the top and have something to eat. I've stopped here quite a few times for a break, and it took quite a while for me to recognise what I was sitting next to. Maybe if I move around this way, you might be able to see it a bit better. With times round the side, this is a sundial, and according to the shadow, the time on it is just coming up to 11 o'clock. Remember, this is it's British summertime, so we have to add an hour to that, which gives 12 o'clock, which is just about correct. Our next point of interest is the obelisk up ahead. It commemorates 4 bishops of Durham using their seals to identify each of them. I've taken to the busier A177 to cycle back down to Sedgefield Racecourse. On my way, I'm passing Hardwick Hall Hotel. We have followed our outward route back past the racecourse and down to this junction where we diverge from it as we continue ahead for the climb up Elstop Hill. First little section, a bit steeper than the rest, but no real problems. now flattens out for a little bit, and then just round the corner, comes through an almost constant gradient right to the top. Just getting the rhythm, nice comfortable rhythm, and that'll see you all the way up to the top of the hill without any problems. There we are, up and over the top. I'm just turning off into Great Stainton Village now, so we can see our next commemorative item. Not easy to see if you don't know where it is, but just come along and down this little dark side road towards the houses and you'll find it. This water pump was erected here for Queen Victoria's Jubilee. Although in some disrepair currently, the sign explaining its existence is dilapidated and could do with some work to restore it. Well, now that we've climbed Elstop Hill, it's time to descend the other side. I'm approaching the village of Sadberg along another one of the recently top surface roads, which is all ripply. At the bottom of the hill is this section which is rippled to slow cars down, but luckily there's a section along the left, which I fell off, which is flatter and allows us cyclists to pass without too much trouble. At the top we emerge into the village green. In the village there is another commemorative plaque to an airfield, again for the First World War. But in the background there are the Sadberg Guardians, a knight, his lady and a child. The Guardians were carved from sycamore trees which came to the end of their lives in 2009. I've decided to make my way back from Sadberg to Stockton using the cycle path alongside the A66 as far as Long Newton. Here we are turning off just before the road enters the A66. As we approach the end of the cycle path, we turn off onto a section of the old A66 road. This leads us along to a bridge crossing the A66, which allows us to make our way into Long Newton village. Having passed through Long Newton, and as we approach Elton village, you can see the final commemorative plaque in our trail, which celebrates Queen Elizabeth's Golden Jubilee. As is my normal custom when I cycle through Elton, I've stopped at the bus stop just to ring home and to give an assurance that everything's okay and give an estimate of when I'll get home. Well, that completes our tour of the commemorative items that I identified for this ride. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the countryside around the Stockton and Billingham area. I'll leave you here as the ride back through Stockton is pretty uninteresting. I hope you've enjoyed being along with me today. It's been a nice day out, the weather's been great. Hopefully you'll be with me on the next video. Bye for now, stay safe.